Chapter 3, BEP and RTI Model by Caitlin Barris, Brennan Gilbert, Caitlin Maginus, and Shannon Van Tol.
The theoretical underpinnings of the BEP and RTI model were created on the basis of assumptions about motivation. These assumptions include that behaviors are functional, predictable, and changeable. The chapter that we read states that 15% of the problem students consume 90% of the teachers' and school administrators' time. That is an alarmingly high amount of time, especially considering the teacher should be teaching. The basis of BEP and RTI is laid on the foundation that there are students who are at risk and who have needs that should be met or tried to be met before the student breaks down or fails. Human behaviors are functional, predictable, and changeable, which are all accounted for in the BEP RTI model. The model as a whole believes that you should look at the antecedents, behaviors, and consequences as the foundation for behavior and use the ABCs to help monitor students and help them reach their goals. Particularly, the behavior aspect is emphasized in this model. The ABCs are referenced on page 38 of our reading. It states, when analyzing in an incident of problem behavior, we look at A, antecedent situations or actions, the problem student's B, behavior, and the C, consequences or reward that the student has received. Those are the ABC aspects of our models.
Hello, this is Shannon speaking now. I'm going to be talking about and describing the BEP-RTI model. First off, BEP stands for Behavior Education Program, and RTI stands for Response to Intervention. BEP and RTI are used interchangeably by professionals, so the system is one and labeled as BEP-RTI. The philosophy of this model is to screen all students in the school, then to create plans that would support those who are not doing well academically or behaviorally. The BEP-RTI model used the ABC, which stands for Antecedent, Behavior, Consequence, Construct, and Data-Based Decisions to address students. Overall, the BEP-RTI model is effective and requires minimal time and resources from the school. The BEP-RTI model is a tiered model with 3 levels or tiers. Level 1 is primary prevention, which is all students, and all teachers, administrators, and staff agree on a school-wide program. Level 2, secondary prevention, is for those students who are at risk, which is approximately 15% of all students. This level uses reinforcers with little to no punishment. The goal is to prevent problem behavior from escalating into serious disruptive behavior. Level 3, or tertiary prevention, is 5% of all students. These students did not respond well to the first 2 levels. They require an intense individualized plan. Functional behavior assessments are used in this level, and based on the FBA data, an IBP will be designed and implemented. An IBP is an individualized behavioral plan. Teachers and schools use what is called a check-in, check-out system. This means that for students with secondary or tertiary levels of intervention, they must check in daily with BEP-RTI coordinators. The coordinator will have students fill out daily progress reports. Then the next morning, the student will have the report filled out and signed by teachers and their parent/guardian. The students will also score themselves, and the BEP-RTI committee will use these reports to collect and graph data. Using this data, they will decide on rewards for the students. Both BEP and RTI define school-wide rules and behavioral expectations. They then teach those rules and expectations to the students. Teachers then collect data to monitor behavioral changes. They also create consequences and positive reinforcers for targeted behaviors. The BEP and RTI models are used at elementary and secondary levels, and they begin as a school-wide process. An example of a reward or reinforcer that could be used with this model is the BEP-RTI coupon. They are secondary reinforcer tokens. They're rewarded as a response to positive changes on the daily progress report. In this example, the teacher gives a coupon to the student privately. It's a positive reinforcement. It's given when goals are being met, It's worth double if signed by the teacher and can be redeemed at coordinator's office. Rewards in general help students visualize and understand his or her own behavior and help students realize that someone is paying close attention to their behavior. They also help the student set goals for themselves. The last aspect of the BEP RTI model that I would like to talk to you about are FBAs, or Functional Behavior Assessments. These are used within the model when student behavior gets worse. In order to move that student to a level 3 prevention, the BEP RTI coordinators will conduct a FBA. To create an FBA, a teacher must fill out a request for assistance form. Then teachers, parents, and students will get together to talk about student antecedents, behaviors, and consequences. Then they will establish a testable hypothesis.
One of the major strengths of the behavioral education plan is that it has been so well researched that there is a lot of useful evidence, including suggestions and backup plans for other educators to try. Through the research, people can read about the scenarios and outcomes to examine their own student situations and see if it's applicable. Another major strength is that there are clear steps and procedures for teachers and instructors to follow through on. The steps are described concisely and specifically, but also are influenced by the individual's needs and preferences so that the plan becomes personable as well. This method can work with any number of students, including a whole school, class, small groups, or an individual student, then tailor it for those specific individuals. There are some people out there that are critical with behavior management plans that include reward systems based on the ethical dilemmas of motivation and where it's coming from. Alfie Kohn has made a similar argument for the behavior analysis plan, and it would apply to this one as well. Another limitation includes that there is still extensive research trying to back up that the model has been practiced and tested to ensure that it's a scientific method, rather than proving so. Critics are unsure if this is a pure scientific method or it's just being claimed as one.
Okay, so next I'm going to discuss the potential usefulness and effectiveness as perceived by myself and the other members of my group. Overall, we feel this is a highly effective strategy, and at the heart of the BEP RTI model is the same underpinnings that we've been discussing in regard to school-wide PBIS. First off, the BEP RTI is a tiered approach. That's what we have been discussing all semester with school-wide PBIS. We start with everyone, treating everyone with the same supports, and progressively begin providing more supports to students who need them, ultimately allowing the teacher to try and support students from the beginning and even before problems may occur. Secondly, BEP RTI is data-driven. Unlike boxed discipline plans or random practitioner pieces about what worked at one specific school, BEP RTI has been researched and practiced at many schools. So besides the research data collected at the school where BEP RTI is being implemented is also used to help make decisions regarding the best ways to help students be successful with their behavioral goals. Next, BEP RTI is student-centered. The students are always at the forefront and the focus of the BEP RTI model. It's about the students and helping the student reach their behavioral goals and potentials. The article even discussed how important the students are in regards to goal setting and self-tracking. Finally, the last component I find most influential is the fact that as a BEP RTI model is in use, it can be revised to meet the needs of students that it's being used to help. So at any time, the teacher is able to make additions or corrections based on data collected to help the program be more effective and to help the students feel successful and scaffold the students to be able to help them reach higher goals. Next, as a classroom teacher, I personally like the fact that the BEP RTI model supports all students. Yes, some students are supported more than others if they're at risk, but all students are still being supported universally at the first level. I feel that sometimes students can feel like, well, why am I not receiving an incentive when I'm doing well in the classroom? But Johnny, who never behaves for one day and is rewarded for it. I feel that universal level incentives and supports help to encourage and make all students feel that their positive behaviors are noticed and appreciated. I also feel that with the BEP RTI model, specifically the way it was organized in the reading, that teachers are always supported. They're never on an island alone. They always have others that they're able to talk to and discuss behavior and experiences with, and are able to work as a team to determine what is the best course of action to help a student succeed.